What's up, Sixers Nation? Back here for another video. This time we're going to do a little bit of a Sixers check-in, talk about a few different things. Start off with big win last night against the Cavs. We'll go into that, recap that. We'll go into Daryl Morey. Talked about in our last video, Nick Nurse, if he's on the hot seat. Is Daryl Morey in the same kind of situation as Nick Nurse? We'll get into that. We'll talk about the big guy, Joel Embiid, give an update there. And then we'll finish off this video previewing tonight's game against the Bulls. But let's start with last night's game against the Cavs. I know you were there for that one. Big win. Sixers beat the Cavs, who are having an amazing season so far, 36-8 on the season. Sixers hand them their 8th loss of the season. They won this game in a high-scoring affair, 132 to 129. What are some of your kind of takeaways, from that game?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, and once again, really, really high scoring. Typically, the Sixers do not win a high scoring battle. That's been the theme of this year. Previous seasons have been different, but it's been really hard for the ball to go through the bucket at a high percentage for the Sixers. And
that's the name of the game.
And honestly, just volume shooting has been an issue, but the Sixers, they looked confident out there. It was a little slow to start the first half. I thought, still some of the shots there, but our stars like PG were slow to get going. And then once again, the second half picked up, and it was high scoring on both ends. I mean, we talked about the Cavs, and we know they still are the best team in the East record wise. If you look at them, they are the one seed right now. It's sitting at 36 wins. They are a top team. They were without Evan Mobley, but still they had some. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is one of the best in the league. Watching him up close is insane to see how skillful he is and just how easy it is for him to get buckets. Ty Jerome hit 8 threes. So I know I'm talking a lot about the Cavs, and they did a lot of great things, but the Sixers matched their offensive talent last night. For once, it felt good to see Paul George being aggressive. We're going to look at the stats here. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Kelly Oubre, 22 points. And we talk about a guy outside of the big three, and of course, Embiid's not playing, but Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Kelly Oubre stepped up. He had a nice stretch with a few tough N1s, which you love to see. Kelly known for taking, I don't want to say dumb shots, but aggressive shots, if you will. He had some where it rewarded him, and he had some nice N1s. But the big theme, Tyrese Maxey, 29, still struggled at times. He honestly, he could have had 35. I watched it up close. He missed some easy layups, and there were some shots where I was like, you're really going to shoot that? But Paul George was the star of this game. To step up at like he did in the fourth was huge for the Sixers.
Yeah, no, I mean, something we didn't have on this post here is from our Twitter. If you don't follow us, give us that follow there. 6 of 11 from 3 for Paul George. I know that's something that we've both harped on here, is like he's getting paid a lot of money, and it seems like at times he's stepped away. He's taken that back seat. And when you don't have Joel Embiid out there, which for most season they have not had Joel Embiid out there, you need to be one of those guys. I'm not saying you need to outshoot Tyrese Maxey, but you need to be right there behind him for that. He shot 21 shots in this game, shot efficiently, 11 of 21 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3-2, which is huge. 6 made threes for the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey, 9 of 18 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. This game, actually, Paul George did outshoot, in terms of volume, Tyrese Maxey with 21 shot attempts. One thing that was a negative for Paul George, he did have 6 turnovers in this game. But that, again, happens with what happens when you get the ball in your hands, right? Joel Embiid's had so many games where he's had a lot of turnovers. That just happens because the offense runs through him. So I look at that 6 turnovers where it's like, yeah, that doesn't look great. But at the same time, it's like at least that he has the ball in his hands. He's not just there to be a catch-and-shoot guy and a third or fourth option. He needs to be 1 or 2 on this team. So big game for Paul George there. And, yes, Kelly Oubre did have a nice game. 22 points, 8 of 16 from the floor, 1 of 3 from 3, 13 rebounds too, so helped on the 13
glass. 13 rebounds is wild,
which you certainly need with the Cavs are a big team. So you need to be able to. I know they didn't have Mobley in this game, but certainly a big team nonetheless. And you can't have a team like the Cavs who are super hot, shooting very well, get second chance points and allow that. So Oubre did a very nice job on the glass. Sixers snap a 7-game losing streak. It was quite the streak there, one they haven't had in a long time. And the Cavs, only their 8th overall loss season. So the Sixers coming into that game were on the same amount of losing games lost in a row as the Cavs had all season. So this is a very good Cavs team, very good win in front of the home fans. So just overall, it was good action. I know some people are kind of including myself a little bit. It's like, hey, kind of in that weird realm where it's like, should we tank? Should we not tank? So winning a game doesn't make a lot of sense. But
yeah,
I think it's something that could really you could build off of, right? Just like we talked about before with the big win against the Celtics last year at the end of 24. That was a big win for them. This is another big win last night, and you hope that they can build off it We'll talk later about like the Bulls game coming up tonight. It's tough back to back and everything like that. But we'll certainly go into how they can kind of build off of last night's win against a really, really good Cavs team.
Yeah, maybe we're seeing some consistency, right? We always talk about that, and we'll discuss more as we get into the Bulls game towards the end of this video, so stay tuned. But yeah, maybe we're starting to get into some consistency with the big two, as if we will, and then maybe Embiid comes back. We'll get an update a little bit as well. But yeah, who knows? Love to see a good shooting night from the Sixers. It's about damn time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No complaints there. As a team, they shot, and we talked about like Maxey and then Paul George shooting. They were 21 of 39 from three, 53.8%, which is not something that you're always going to get, but it's good to see, like you said, the ball go through the hoop, something they haven't had in a long time. They've been one of the lowest scoring teams all season, and it's good to see a game like that where it's kind of annoying that, like, at the same time, it's like, you barely win a game that you put up, 132 points in, but that's basketball for you. And the Cavs are a very good team. Anytime it seemed like the Sixers hit a three, they'd be the Cavs right back. And a lot of times it was Ty Jerome 8 of 8 from deep, which Steph Curry had earlier in the season. To the second time, Sixers are giving up a guy shooting 8 of 8 from 300% on high volume there. Steph Curry is definitely in a different realm as Ty Jerome. But great shooting night for him nonetheless. Yeah. And, they have to, put up their own points to beat that. They did a great job of that there. But kind of switching gears, one thing we hit upon actually in our last video, and just something we were kind of been discussing overall on our page the last few days, Nick Nurse, the coach of this team, Sixers currently sitting at 16-27, and we're on, the back end of a 7-game win streak. They won last night, great, but still has not been a great overall season for the team. And a lot of times it does fall back on the coach. Hearing a lot from you guys in our DMs, all that kind of stuff. Kind of wanted to address that. And there was something that came out actually the other day about Daryl Morey, the GM of the 76ers. This is from Bill Simmons' podcast. Quote, this is from a tweet from Crossing Broad. So shout out to them. Quote, there's been some Bob Myers Philly buzz, which used to be the GM of the Golden State Warriors. And he said, Bill Simmons is here and Bob Myers could potentially replace Daryl Morey in the Sixers front office. And just want to play this clip here from that podcast, really short clip here. Kind of goes in a little more detail of that.
I think it all boils down to
Washington with the football team, right? He was on that advisory committee, and I just feel like he's looming with the Sixers thing, and I don't think I'm alone. There's been some Bob Myers Philly buzz that I think has been building because I think he had a good experience with Josh Harris. If there is a fall guy, which we talked about earlier, it's going to be Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. Helped Washington with the football team, right?
Yeah. So just to add some Josh Harris, he owns many teams. He owns the Devils. He owns the Commanders. That's what he meant by the Washington football team when they were trying to find their new coaching staff and front office and all that. Seemed like Bob Myers was one of the kind of the consultants in there that had a voice in there. So certainly someone who has a relationship with Josh Harris already. And he also kind of keyword there too with fall guy, right? I know a lot of you have been communicating with us that, hey, there's no Embiid, the talent's not there, all this stuff. Like, there's coaches a lot of times are the fall guy. They're that scapegoat. And yes, Sixers are having a bad season, and yes, they have a lot of injuries, but there's been coaches, many coaches fired for far less, with far less talent and far less expectations than the 76ers, right? I mean, there's always a handful of coaches fired every single year, some of which have the roster like a Wizards team, right? Where they're not expected to win a lot of games. That's just kind of the business of it, right? And the Sixers are one of the only teams this year that are completely falling under their expectations as they were coming in the season with NBA Finals aspirations. So one thing I kind of want to add, because it kind of came out in good timing here with the Daryl Morey stuff, is yes, it could be Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. It could be one or the other. It could be neither of them. It's not just all in Nick Nurse. None of us were kind of saying that. Yeah. It's a team effort there, but it's easier to get rid of a coach and a GM than it is to completely blow up your entire team, right? And if they believe in the players more than the coaches, that's certainly something that I could see happen there. So I'm not against getting rid of Daryl Morey. There's certainly, some bad decisions he made. Paul George had a great game last night, but overall this season has not had a good overall season. So I could see, that being a key factor in why. And they said Morey out, Myers in. That's certainly potential. Obviously, have to see Morey go out. Then the list of candidates will kind of roll in, but Myers is certainly one of those guys. But Paul George, again, had a great game last night. But that's not something he's had all season, and has been compared to Tobias Harris, who kind of replaced, and that's looked pretty comparable.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Daryl's done with the team this season is not a great reflection, and certainly he brought some guys in like a Drummond, who honestly, I mean, going back to the Drummond contract, which is one of the ones that looks more egregious now. You could point to Paul George, but if you think of Paul George at the time, first of all, he was the only, by far, the best free agent available. We had a max slot. It makes sense according to the timeline that, hey, Embiid's in his prime, right? You have to go for it. So I think Daryl Morey's actually done a phenomenal job here in Philadelphia. Sure, there's some pieces that you could piece together, but overall, for what he's had to work with and kind of the hole that Simmons left us, and we had Harden at time, and just the moves that he's made to navigate and bring stars in. But Tobias wasn't fully his fault, and they're
I'm not saying Tobias' fault. I'm saying
right, getting it out, getting out of Tobias.
So
So there's a lot of things that he had to deal with. It was not a great situation. I thought he's weathered the storm fairly well. Nick Nurse, you can put a lot of fingers to, which we did a video on that, so go check that one out. But no, the GM plays a more pivotal role just because you're bringing in the talent that ultimately wins you games, right? And that's the most important thing. We'll see if they make a move. It's going to come down to how they finish the season. That's the big question mark. We don't know. Could they finish with 30 wins? Will they finish with more than that? Who knows? It's still to be seen. But
yeah, there's a mixture of good and bad. I mean, right? Like he was responsible for drafting Jerry McCain, who before his injury looked like a rookie of the year, candidate and an integral part of the team. But at the end of the day, you're assessed by your wins and losses, and they're a team that is right now 11 games below 500. That coming in the season, we're looking like they had a very good chance of whether it's winning the NBA Finals or just making a deep playoff run at the very least. Right now, they're sitting on the outside looking in, and you're going to be assessed by your mistakes more than the kind of the positives in that situation. If all things are going great and they're have the Cavs record where they're 36-8, then they look amazing right now, and they're getting extensions, all that kind of stuff. But it's 16-27. There are going to be scapegoats. There are going to be people that are kind of the fall guys, like Bill Simmons said. And I'm nothing personal against Morey or Nick Nurse, but that's certainly a possibility out there that could happen.
Hey, listen, I met Morey on a plane. All right, we're coming back from Orlando. He's coming back from some G League summit they had, but he looked positive. He felt he was in good spirits sitting in first class. It seems like he was having fun. But who knows? Who knows? Great gig though.
I mean, they'll both be fine financially.
They're good.
So
they
get their guaranteed contracts, and they make very good money. So I'm sure they would be perfectly fine there, even if they don't find a spot in another team. Yeah. So, but anyway, wanted to kind of talk about that. But another big thing that's been looming over our heads for the entire season, none other than Joel Embiid. Wanted to give an update on him. And actually, a video came out. Shams did a little bit of report that we can show here, giving an update on Joel Embiid and his status with the team, and when we could potentially see him on the court again. This is actually posted by No Eat In 24. Just want to point out that here.
Team and Joel Embiid will have to have some conversations about health, because that has been the key word. I said that word yesterday. That has played such a big factor with the 76ers season, and just the unknowingness of whether he's going to play on any given night. And from my understanding, even today, from what I hear, Joel Embiid remains rehabbing, continuing to try to do everything he can to get back on the floor. But there have been frustrations, from my understanding, throughout the year of not having him there. That's what goes into having an MVP caliber player not be able to play practices one day, but not able to sometimes play. And he knows his body better than anyone else. And so I think there is that level of respect where a player may not feel ready based on how he is feeling, because he knows himself better than anyone else does. But the way this 76ers season is going, and they do have a protected pick this year.
Yeah, top
so there is
protected.
some level of incentive there that we have to speak to as well. The team and Joel Embiid will have.
Yeah, and the Cody pick from this, from my understanding, even today, from what I hear, Joel Embiid remains rehabbing, continuing to try to do everything he can to get back on the floor. But there's been frustrations, from my understanding, throughout the year of not having him there, which makes sense. Again, it also says too, in this video, it says he should be reevaluated in the next 5 to 7 days, which this video came out on the 22nd, so 3 days ago.
Soon.
So potentially, like after this weekend, early next week, we could have a better, clear, insight on when he's returning and all that, because he hasn't played since January 4th, I believe, against Brooklyn, which was 3 weeks ago today. So an injury that seemed like just a kind of a small day-to-day thing, like Sean said there. It seems like, it's kind of something that's been always with Joel Embiid. He's like, we don't know if he's going to play or not.
Right.
That's something that's been in the last few years, right? It's like every single game it seems like he comes in questionable and he gets erased 30 minutes before tip-off, whatever it may be. 3 weeks ago when when he kind of first started missing games, it seemed like it was something that was just super minor and has now blossomed into him out 3+ weeks.
Yeah, and the problem is it looks worse when you haven't won a damn game, right? They finally beat the Cavs, of course, last night, but it's been tough. And with Joel too, I mean, seeing him last night in person, just on the bench is a tough one, especially when he's in a tracksuit and every time out he's dribbling a basketball, hanging out, talking to everyone, just chatting up. It's like, why can't you be out there? Yeah, he's high-fiving players. He's very active on the bench. I mean, he's standing up, he's shooting hoops during timeouts. I see him out there. Everyone sees him. So it's tough when you're MVP player, and he looks in good shape too. I mean, he actually looks the slimmest that I've seen Joel Embiid look, seriously. So it would be nice if he got out there on the court and played and dominated like we know he can, but it's just a matter of time. Unfortunately, a chronic knee issue, which he seems to have, is it's a hard one to get past. Just is.
Yeah. No. Speaking of dominating, not very long ago, we posted this 3 days ago on our Instagram here. This tweet is from Tucker Bagley. Joel Embiid scored 70 points exactly 1 year ago. So that was 3 days ago, and 1 year ago before that. Since then, he's played in just 20 games, and the 76ers are 34-49 as a team. This picture here, great one here. So, yeah, this was actually on Wemby. So shout out to Wemby, put up 70 points on him. Goes back, yes, he is an absolute dominant player when he plays. MVP guy, you could argue, is the best player in the league when he is on the court. But, again, this is from a little over 1 year ago. He's only played in 20 games since then. And the team is 34-49 as a team. So there's a lot of games that he's missed in there, and they are a sub 15 team when he hasn't played. And that little split there, that's pretty much. I mean, that record right there is like, let's see, is that 83? That's 83 games right there. So that's one game over like a full season. So like that's kind of what their record would be, which seems like that may end up being what they finish with this season. They are they're an 8, 9, 10 seed with that, what you're seeing right now in real time.
Yeah.
But they are not a very good team.
Yeah, and I think people thought that the issue is they thought they would be better with the addition of Paul George and some of the role players, and of course they have not lived up to the hype. But I mean, Joel Embiid 70 points last year, absolute dominant talent. And there's not many guys. I mean, 70 points is a shit ton of points. Like it really is. I mean, the ability to do that in one game is special. I remember watching it. I wasn't there, but just watching it in real time was like amazing to see. He was up to like 60 by the time we hit the fourth, and you're like, well, he's gonna go crazy, and he did. So just a wild game, but we need him back, man. Miss him big time. It's tough. It's tough without him.
Yeah, no, definitely tough. Unfortunately, they're not going to have him again tonight. Sixers do play the Cavs, or not Cavs. The Bulls played the Cavs last night. Play the Bulls tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time at Wells Fargo Center. The Sixers are 3.5-point underdogs, which is actually one of their lower points there. Last night against the Cavs, they were double-digit underdogs there. And here's a little bit of an injury report from Adam Arison, who Joel Embiid again is still out tonight. Again, we'll be evaluating in a few days, so we'll get more information then. Caleb Martin remains out. KJ Martin, Andre Drummond, and we all know about Jared McCain out for the season there. The only one that's kind of newsworthy here is Kyle Lowry was not on the injury report. He hasn't played in about 3 weeks, as Adam states here. So Coach Lowry could potentially be playing the game tonight. As much as I do not like his play, they need guys that can play make, and hopefully, Kyle Lowry has taken those 3 weeks off and
maybe he's well
reassessed. Reassessed how he can share the rock a little bit instead of
chucking up bricks.
Chucking up bricks where he had, which he has
damn.
The last few weeks here. But it'll be a tough matchup tonight. This is a team that's like, if the Sixers want to make the playoffs, the Bulls are 2 games ahead of the Sixers.
Right.
At the 10, Bulls sitting right now at the 10 seed, Sixers at the 11 seed. So the Sixers do want to make a playoff run. This is a big game tonight. I know it's still it's still the end of January. Still got a lot of games coming up, but this is where, hey, you win tonight, you're only a game out of the plan. As bad as the season has been, and before last night's win, they were on a 7-game losing streak, and it seemed like the sky was falling. If they want to make a run, tonight is a big game. They can certainly take advantage of it. Unfortunately, they're coming off a back-to-back, so it's going to be a tough one. They're underdogs in this matchup. The Bulls are a decent team, and at the very least, I want to see some effort from the Sixers. It's tough, in a back-to-back. Your legs start giving out late in the game, shots start not falling, all that kind of stuff. And I want to see some effort here, rebounding, the small things that lead to victories. And a lot of times, the Sixers have not done a good job of, rebounding, not letting off second-chance points, turning the ball over, those types of things. I think if they can do that, they'll have a good chance tonight in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Bulls are decent. I like to kind of just they're better than us record wise, but they're a beatable team. Zach LaVine has played very well as of late. The past couple months for him he's been on an absolute heater. He's averaging 24 points a game. He shoots 45% from three. I don't know if that leads the league, but it probably should. He's lights out from three this season. 81% from the line, so not as great. Vooch, we know what Vucevic is. Is he top though or no?
He's actually 6th in the league.
Wow.
3-point percentage. Luke Kennard, he doesn't shoot as high volume. 49.7. He shoots only 50%. Nikola Jokic, 47.9. Sabonis at 47.5.
Yeah.
Torian Prince, 46.1. And then Ty Jerome, who just dropped 8 threes on 8 of 8 shooting against Sixers last night, 45.7. So yeah, there is 6 guys in the league shooting about 45%,
which is wild. I mean, to shoot almost. I mean, Luke Kennard at 49 is like you make half your threes is insane.
Yeah.
But the volume that Zach LaVine can score at is scary. That's what makes him such a dual threat, where he can score inside, he can dunk on you, he can shoot from deep, whatever they need, he can do. So hopefully the Sixers can pull away with the dub here. They are away. You never know. It's always a tough one, but let's see. You never know.
Yeah, so that game's at 8 p.m. Tonight. Tune into that one here on a Saturday night. As always, hit that like and subscribe button below. Appreciate all the support. I believe we actually just hit 400 subscribers, so we'll announce soon when we're giving away another $25. Please, in this one, we are giving away $25 to random sub for every 100 subs. Done 3 of them already, and we'll be doing that. Kind of announce that one very shortly. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow in our. We may do like another Birds Live like we've done the last few Sundays. If not, we'll do it early next week. So stay tuned for that. Not too late to enter that. So you can certainly hit that subscribe button. And again, every 100 subs. So if you don't win this one, you have a chance again in the future. And if you are a sub too, kind of another perk, you can be part of our private Instagram chat, which we have over 200 people in there, dedicated fans. That's a lot of fun. That's if you want to be added. Appreciate you hopping in on this video. A little bit of a Sixers check-in. Hope everyone has a good Saturday and rest of the weekend. And go Sixers, baby.
Go Sixers.
Cheers.